Well, I evaluate hundreds of prospects every year. I'm in the information gathering business, and there's an extensive process to be able to gather enough information to come to a conclusive evaluation of a player prior to their draft. During the preseason, depending on who I've seen before, I know some players better than others. How many times have I seen them, and in what setting? If I'm seeing a player for the first time, it's the first step in my evaluation process. In those cases, I'm really just trying to get a feel for the player's skill set, body type, movements, and personality, essentially creating a platform to work off of in order to be able to do a deeper dive on the player. If I already know the player decently, I try to get a pulse of where they're at in their development. Both scenarios are really important to me. I carefully put together my travel and my day-to-day efforts to make sure I gather enough information on all of the relevant prospects by draft night. To make a long story short, I value seeing prospects in all different types of settings, including practices and scrimmages during the preseason. I'd say the biggest change was including some additional freshmen who I'm somewhat on the fence about. I recently included Max Christie from Michigan State, Musa Diabate from Michigan, and Brandon Huntley Hatfield from Tennessee. Projecting how a true freshman will do right off the bat can be extremely challenging. I spent a lot of time evaluating high school prospects in an effort to get a head start on the evaluation process. I'm confident that all of the freshmen we currently have on our big board have the tools to be NBA prospects this year, but there are just so many variables that can affect their imminent draft status. How will they adapt to their new setting? What role will they play with their new team? Different things along those lines. I make it a point to track freshmen closely because oftentimes it can go either way. Well, I'm kicking the season off with a bang. I'm heading to New York City for the State Farm Champions Classic. I get to see Kansas versus Michigan State, and then Kentucky versus Duke at the Madison Square Garden. Obviously, it's great from a scouting standpoint because I'll see a bunch of the top prospects. But even just as a basketball fan, I mean, I get to see some of the best coaches in the country go head to head. Bill Self versus Tom Izzo, and then John Calipari versus Coach K. It really doesn't get any better than that. I've spent a lot of time watching TyTy over the course of the last year. I feel like he's one of those players who I'm constantly higher on than the consensus. My latest trip to Kentucky kept that idea intact. In fact, I walked away even higher on him than I was before. Kentucky had a brutal season last year, but I'm expecting for them to bounce back this season. And I think TyTy is going to lead the charge for them. And they'll go as TyTy goes. That said, I think he's going to be a star player for them, and subsequently, become a lottery pick come June. Yeah, there are a few guys in my book who've impressed me and helped themselves recently. Max Christie from Michigan State, Oscar Tshiebwe from Kentucky, and Marjon Beauchamp from the G League Ignite are a few. I've got my eye on a few. Nolan Hickman and Hunter Salas from Gonzaga, Harrison Ingram from Stanford, Trevor Keels from Duke, and Bryce McGowan's from Nebraska. There's some others too, but those are the names that come to mind first. Last year, the Ignite produced two lottery picks in Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga. This year, I'm expecting Jaden Hardy to be a high lottery pick too, but I don't expect any of the other guys to be taken quite that high. However, I think they have more depth and overall talent top to bottom. We are currently projecting that Dyson Daniels will be a first-round pick. Michael Foster's not too far off, and Marjon Beauchamp is really doing some good things early for them. One player to keep an eye on is Ismail Kamagate, who's playing for Paris. He's a big athletic rim protector and rim runner. Our international scout and former NBA scout, Jason Felipe, recently watched Kamagate and had a chance to interview him. His Q&A is up on basketballnews.com. Anyway, Jason walked away impressed with Kamagate. He's not currently on our big board, but I wouldn't be surprised if we ultimately did include him.